Welcome to Julie's first cook along. So I thought I'd do a cook along because I want to make some protein balls, and rather than just filming it and doing it, I thought I might as well do it as a live, right? Because I want to show you how I do protein balls. So I've got a recipe, but I just mix it up based on what I've got. So rather than the pressure of like having to have this amount or that amount, or I've not got 20 more grams of that thing, how to switch it up. So we're going to be making what's called ginger and graham cracker crumble ones. But I don't have any graham crackers, so I'm just going to use coconut. I'm just going to use a bit of chia seeds to roll them in. Now it's going to get noisy, but let's get started. So the first ingredients of this one, this is to make 16 balls, is 180 grams of walnuts. Now I had about walnut halves, so I had around 150 grams of walnut halves. So I'm just going to whack them in, right? Because I'm not the most organized cook, so I'm not kind of like following the instructions per se. I just like to chuck things in. Now these protein balls, you can't go wrong. Like, yes, have the fundamentals, but don't worry about having the exact ingredients or the exact amount of ingredients. Play about with them. They're great for kids as well, Verena. Great for kids. All right, next up, so we've got around 180 grams of walnut halves, and then we've got some oats, just your everyday porridge oats. So we're whacking in 75 grams of those. Then after that, what does it say to do? Oh, cinnamon, here we go. So 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of ground ginger. Now I had the cinnamon in my cupboard, but I didn't have the ground ginger, but I did have fresh ginger. So all I've done is grated the fresh ginger up because I love ginger anyway. So that's what I'm saying about don't get stuck on not making something because you don't have the exact ingredient. So I've got 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. So just whacking that in there. Then after that, what do? Process until finely ground and then add the dates and raisins. So it's going to get noisy. What do I do now? And this is the point where you want to hit me on mute as I whack it up. That's if I've even got it turned on. Have I got it turned on? I think I have. All right, so we're going to grind up the walnuts and all the good stuff. She says she hasn't actually got it turned on. All right, so that is those whacked up. So it's like a fine powder now. So if you can see that, it's a nice fine powder of the oats and the walnuts. Okay, so that's our base. Now what it says to do is add the dates and the raisins. So with the dates, the recipe says 160 grams. I had a bit more because I want to finish a packet. So I think I had 2 extra dates. So I'm going to keep them in the packet. So I just whack them in. And then raisins, 70 grams. So we're just going to chuck in the dates, chuck in the raisins, and we're going to process it again. So again, this is where you want to pop me on mute. And we're just going to whack it out. All right, this is where we then start to add the wet ingredients. So it's a little more sticky because we've got the dates and the raisins in it, but we're now going to add the wet ingredients that's going to bring it together. So the wet ingredients for this is molasses. Now, I don't have molasses. I googled what can you use in place of molasses, and it came back saying maple syrup, honey, it said golden syrup. So basically a sweetener, a liquid sweetener is what we're looking for to bind it together. So like I say, I don't have molasses, but one of the other ingredients is maple syrup. 1 tablespoon of pure maple syrup. So I've got some of that. Now I don't have the molasses. However, I do have this dark, intense maple syrup. Bargain from Farm Foods, £2.49. Organic, intense maple syrup. So that is going to replace my molasses. So I'm just going to chuck in 1 teaspoon of this. Like I say, this one's quite strong. And then we're going to chuck in 1 teaspoon of pure maple syrup. Now, I tend to go for the high quality pure stuff. And if it doesn't say maple syrup's actually trademarked. So if it doesn't say maple syrup, then it's not maple syrup. But the real deal. It is quite expensive. Like I got this one in Canada on my travels, but that's where this one is a complete bargain, a find at £2.49 in Farm Foods of all places. So yeah, you can find cheaper ones that are still the real thing. You just got to shop around for it. All right, we're going to put this together now. So it's going to try and combine. a sticky texture. Now it's not quite there, so it does say to add some water. So if it's not quite there, you can add a little bit of water. And again, depending on your ingredients, like how much you used of one thing versus another, it will affect how dry the mix is or not. So I'm just going to whack in a bit of water and get it to bind. Okay, we can see and hear that that is now starting to bind. So yeah, that's nice and sticky now. And now all we need to do is just wet our hands and form the mixture into a ball. So in terms of what size, you're kind of thinking like golf ball size. And remember, guys, you can watch this back on the replay, and I can pop the ingredients in for you underneath, or DM me if you want ingredients. I'll do a little recap of the ingredients at the end so you can shoot towards it. So it's just creating a nice little ball. I mean, if I show you the picture of these, I think we've nailed it, right? Just in case you're watching this and go, there's no way that's what it's meant to look like. We pretty much nailed it. So we're going to make the ball shapes, like say about 16 of them. And then you're meant to roll these ones, it says graham crackers, but like I say, it's not, graham crackers aren't my thing. I know it's kind of like American, but so I think the equivalent in the UK is like Ritz crackers, although you can get them now in some shops. But, you know, they're salty crackers, so that's not really my bag. So I'm just going to roll them in chia seeds, coconut, desiccated coconut. It's ultimately whatever's good for you. Now, remember, as you're making the balls, wet your hands, because otherwise the mixture starts to stick to your hands. So if you wet your hands in between, it'll stop the mixture sticking to it. So just create that ball. And like I say, the shape that you kind of want is a golf ball. And like I say, don't get too worried about exact shape. If you're a perfectionist, then by all means. But if not, if like me, you're in a rush and you're doing things quickly, like I say, I just wanted to make some protein balls today because I find they're a great go-to during the week when you're hungry and you want something. And if you've got kids, these are great for them as well. Obviously, if they're super young, you don't want to be giving them nuts that they might choke on or stuff. But yeah, in terms of a great go-to snack, something that you've made yourself. So yeah, you can think the raw ingredients can be a bit expensive, but you got to think you're getting 16 portions out of this. So after we form them in the balls and then we roll them, it's up to you. You might decide, actually, I don't want to roll them in anything. Then what you do is you whack them in the freezer, put them in a tub, pop them in the freezer for an hour. And then after that, you take them out of the freezer, just pop them in the fridge. And basically, they can stay there until required. So if you think, actually, I'm not going to eat 16 of these in a week, you can keep them in the fridge and just take them out and defrost them whenever you need them. So these are great, like say, for batch cooking. So you can either make them for the week, then you've got 16, pop them in the fridge, an hour in the freezer, and then pop them in the fridge to defrost a bit. Or you can keep them in the freezer and just pull them out when you need them, but obviously allow time to actually let them defrost. And that's it, team, right? How easy is this? And it's a bit therapeutic in a way, doing something for yourself. Like I say, cook along with Julie, but no cooking. So how quick and easy is that? What time are we on now? 13 minutes in. Yes, I did weigh the ingredients beforehand. But if you're like me and your kitchen's a bit chaotic, then it's always best just to have stuff measured out beforehand. Saves you the stress of hunting and looking for it. But once you've got your ingredients weighed out, happy days. So
recap, 180 grams of walnut halves, 75 grams of quick oats, 1 tablespoon, I always get tea and table mixed up, 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and then for the dates, 160 grams of pitted dates. So you can get the ones with seeds in, but then the stone in, but then you'll need to cut it out, and then just make sure you weigh it once you cut the stones out. They're quite big stones. So 160 of pitted dates, 70 grams of raisins. It does say dark raisins, but raisins is raisins to me. I know you get golden ones, so I just went for the box standard ones. And then 1 tablespoon of molasses, so like honey, golden syrup, maybe some agave syrup, and then 1 tablespoon of pure maple syrup. And then finally, whatever you want to roll it in. Like I say, it says graham crackers. It says about 4 graham crackers. So it's just to give it a light crumb. Or like what I'm going to do, you can use desiccated coconut, chia seed, whatever you fancy doing. But ultimately with these, you're looking at around 163 calories. You might think, well, that's quite a lot. But the difference with these is they're going to give me energy. They're going to give me quality nutrition. I've just done a little video of mini eggs, and a mini egg has, I think it was 196 calories for 12 mini eggs. And I'm hoping, I'm looking at the different sizes of my balls. Obviously, the calories will be different depending on the size of yours. But yeah, in terms of the amount of sugar, it was equivalent to 6 teaspoons of sugar. And I feel rubbish after eating things like this. So this is actually going to make you feel good afterwards. You know what's in it. It's all great for fiber, protein, about 3 grams of protein, 3 grams of fiber, B, 3 and 6 vitamins, full of minerals, magnesium, calcium, folic, all that good stuff. And you've made it yourself, so you know what's in it, but it's also saved you a stack of money, right? Because I know you can get a brand. There's a brand out there that does packets now of protein balls, and you get 3 little protein balls in it, and it's like, oh, £2.50, £3, and now starting to charge for these things. So super expensive. Yes, if you get caught out, they're handy, but you know, if you're talking about watching your budget, then the best way to go is make them yourself and stick them in the freezer. And like I say, I find these a go-to for after a workout. If you've done a workout and you're absolutely starving, then these are a really good go-to. So all right, team, I'm going to show you how many have I made. Some of them are bigger than others, clearly. But I've made, how's that, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 I've made. A bit dubious in some of the sizes, but I'll just show you them there. That's 13 there. And then I will just go and roll them in some coconut, stick them in the freezer for an hour, and then they'll be good to go. And then that'll be it. So super easy. We've done that with me chatting along, give you a recap on the recipe. But yeah, done in 10 minutes without having to chat along. Super quick, super easy, full of nutritional goodness. You can keep them in the freezer for when you need them, or take them out and have them all week. Stop you snacking on the chocolate, stop you snacking on the convenience foods, and save you a heap load of money so you're not buying this stuff out and about. Take care. Let me know what you'd like to see more of, and if you enjoyed my first ever cook along with Julie without the cooking. Take care. Appreciate you all for joining. Show me pictures of your results.